Hi, I'm neurologist Dr. Pavni Guntur. Sometimes identifying a migraine may not be as easy as it seems. So today I'm going to walk you through the 5 senses: taste, sight, sound, touch, and smell. So you'll be able to tell if what you're experiencing is more than just a standard headache. There are a variety of foods that could be triggers for migraineurs: bananas, dairy products, soft cheeses, nut butters, tomatoes, and red wine. Some migraineurs during the prodrome phase complain of a metallic taste. So we're still trying to understand the reason behind certain foods being a trigger for migraine. One theory is that foods that are high in tyramine can potentially trigger migraineurs. Some theories are that it can change blood flow, and that's why a migraine can be triggered. Nausea is a cardinal feature of migraines. We think there is a relationship between the brain and the gut, and that brain-gut relationship is what triggers nausea. Oftentimes, this is one of the initial questions that any physician will ask a migraineur. Some patients, they can get what we call abdominal migraines, where they will never experience an actual migraine headache, but only present with nausea and vomiting. And we think that is because of the neuronal network in the abdomen. Because patients experience a strong sense of nausea and sometimes even dry heaving or vomiting, appetite is usually suppressed during a migraine headache. A lot of times physicians can prescribe medications to abate the sensation of nausea. Interestingly, some migraineurs can actually crave chocolate right before their migraine starts. A lot of times, patients will think that chocolate actually triggered their migraines, but science is starting to show that they may actually just be craving the chocolate before their migraine. A visual aura is when a person's vision becomes obscured preceding the migraine headache. For example, a visual aura can present as a multicolored circle, which can obscure your visual field. Another visual aura can present as a haze. The most common visual aura presents as a black dot that can move from one end of your visual field to another. Some people also complain of blurry vision during their migraines. Some migraineurs describe visual triggers as either blue light or being exposed to bright lights. Migraineurs can help themselves by being in a dark, quiet room during their migraine headache. Some scientific data shows that migraineurs may actually have a smaller olfactory bulb, which is why they are more prone to smell as a migraine trigger. Migraineurs will often describe what we call osmophobia, which is an aversion to certain smells. Triggers can include perfume, car exhaust, smoke, and even laundry detergent. Some migraineurs can have a heightened sense of smell, where day-to-day smells are amplified during their migraines. During a migraine headache, some migraineurs are even sensitive to the smell of food or if someone's cooking in the kitchen. So don't be upset with your migraineur friend if they turn down a dinner invitation. Hearing can also be affected in multiple different ways. Normal sounds, such as utensils clanking, can oftentimes be very grating to a migraineur when you're suffering a migraine headache. Other sounds, such as chewing, can also become very grating. Even sounds that we think about which are pleasant, such as birds singing, can become very grating to a migraineur during a migraine headache. Migraineurs will often describe it as sounding very intense and annoying in their ears. Sometimes patients describe that sounds seem very amplified in their head. Even if someone is speaking quietly, it can sound as though they are speaking extremely loudly. Tinnitus is described as ringing in the ear. Some migraineurs with certain forms of migraines can actually experience this either preceding the migraine or during the migraine. Some sounds can be triggers for migraines. The triggers can be different depending on each individual person, but some common triggers can be railroad crossings or sirens. Phone notifications can also be a common trigger for people. Keeping the environment as quiet as possible can really help a migraineur get through their migraine. Turning off overhead announcements or maybe turning down phone notifications can also be helpful. Oftentimes, when a migrainer is suffering from what we call phonophobia, it can prevent them from being able to go about their day-to-day life. In some cases, physical affection may actually make your migrainer feel worse. They can sometimes experience what we call allodynia, which is hypersensitivity to touch. The hypersensitivity to touch can be triggered by laying on a pillow, wearing eyeglasses, or even a headband, which in most situations wouldn't irritate the migrainer, but during the migraine headache can really make the pain feel worse. Some migraineurs will describe a sensation of their scalp feeling as though it is bruised. A lot of times, it may not even evolve into a full migraine, and this may be the presentation of their migraine. Some migraineurs whose migraine headaches stem from what we call the suboccipital region, which is kind of right back in this area, could benefit from a mild massage of that region. A lot of migraineurs describe their migraine pain as a throbbing sensation that is usually what we call unilateral on one side or another. A lot of times the pain can either start in the frontal region and radiate to the back, but in some patients who experience headaches stemming from the neck, it can start in the back and radiate to the front. Tension headaches are usually described as a vice-like sensation or pain around the head, whereas migraineurs generally describe pain as a throbbing sensation on one side or another, though it can generalize to involve the whole head. Some patients can experience a sense of vertigo, which is described as room spinning, either before or during their migraine headache. Some migraineurs can experience associated symptoms of loss of sensation on an entire side of the body, or even weakness involving the entire side of the body. A lot of times, these symptoms can be mistaken for a stroke. If it is your first time experiencing stroke-like symptoms associated with your migraine headache, you should seek immediate medical attention at your local emergency room. This has been Migraines, explained through the 5 senses.